The bounty hunter's rifle cracked across the desert air. Amanda Whitmore pressed her back against the splintered station wall. Her heart hammered like hoofbeats on hard ground. 3 men with government paper had come for Randy Cooper. They wanted him for desertion charges that weren't true. But truth didn't matter when money was involved. Cooper ain't here, Randy had told them, standing calm on his porch, his daughter Olivia behind Amanda's skirts. The lead man had smiled cold as Winter Creek water. Now bullets chipped would above Amanda's head. She clutched Olivia tight, whispering prayers into the child's honey blonde hair. How had she gotten here? 2 weeks ago, she'd stepped off that eastbound train at Dust Creek. Wrong station, wrong town, wrong everything. The letter in her bag promised a man named Walter in Creekstone. But maps lie sometimes, and ink fades, and destiny has its own strange compass. The little girl who'd wrapped arms around her waist that first day had whispered, "Papa, God finally answered us." Amanda had looked down at tear-streaked cheeks and seen something she'd never expected. Recognition, like coming home to a place she'd never been. Randy Cooper stood 6 feet of quiet strength, sun-weathered face, hands that fix broken things. His wife Lily had died birthing Olivia 3 years back. He'd tried to write for a mail-order bride, but never sent the letters. Too afraid his heart was too scarred to love again. Amanda had stayed that first night. Then another. She cooked on the wood stove, mended Olivia's torn doll, sang lullabies by firelight. Randy fixed her dress strap without being asked, strengthened her wobbly chair with fresh nails, small kindnesses that spoke louder than words. The desert wind carried the scent of sage and distant rain. Randy had taught her to read weather in the sky, to tell time by shadow length, to find water by watching where birds flew at dusk. They'd fallen into rhythm like dance partners who'd practiced for years. Coffee at dawn, work through the heat, stories by lamplight. Olivia called her mama now. Randy's eyes held something deeper than friendship. Then Eleanor Hargrove had arrived in her fancy buggy, plum traveling coat, feathered hat, nose high as a church steeple. Randy's sister had sent her, a proper wife for a widowed rancher, someone with standing and resources. Amanda had packed her small bag, kissed Olivia goodbye, walked to the station. The eastbound train would take her back to Boston, back to drawing rooms and silk dresses, and a mother who wanted her to marry that wet-haired banker. But Olivia had gotten sick, fever and tears that wouldn't stop. She clutched Amanda's half-finished scarf, refused to eat or speak, just curled in her bed like a wounded bird. Randy had ridden hard to the station, caught Amanda just as the train whistle screamed. He'd held out the scarf and the pressed wildflower. "She made this for you, believes you were sent by God himself." His voice had cracked like dry timber. "Maybe he did send you, or maybe you just got lucky. But I know this. I cannot let you leave." Amanda had stepped away from the train's edge, pressed the scarf to her heart, found her place in the world at last. 3 weeks of happiness. Then the bounty hunters came. Now bullets sang past her ears. Randy crouched behind a water trough, rifle steady in his hands. The lead bounty hunter called out, voice like gravel on glass. "We know you're in there, Cooper. Army wants you back. Dead or alive pays the same." Randy's jaw tightened. He'd served 3 years, honorable discharge. These men carried forged papers. But truth was a luxury poor folks couldn't afford. The sun blazed overhead, turning the desert into a furnace. Dust devils danced across the hard pan. In the distance, heat waves made the horizon shimmer like water. Amanda watched Randy's face, saw the calculation behind his eyes. 3 men against 1. Olivia to protect. No law for hundreds of miles. "Stay low," he whispered to Amanda. "When I say run, take Olivia to the root cellar." The bounty hunter stepped from behind his horse. Tall man in black coat, silver star pinned crooked on his chest. His smile showed too many teeth. Randy stood slow, hands visible. "You got the wrong man." Army records say different. The bounty hunter spat tobacco juice in the dirt. Randall James Cooper. Deserted Fort Apache, July 1884. I was discharged proper. Got the papers. Papers can be lost. Or burned. The man's grin widened. Convenient like... Amanda felt Olivia tremble against her. The child had seen enough violence for any lifetime. Lost her mother, nearly lost Amanda. Now this. The wind shifted, carrying dust and the smell of coming storm. Dark clouds gathered on the southern horizon. Lightning flickered like serpent tongues. Randy's voice stayed level as creek water. Take your business elsewhere. This is private land. Government land now. If you're a deserter, the bounty hunter drew his pistol lazy-like. Stand aside, Cooper. We're searching the house. That's when Randy's patience snapped like a dry branch. His rifle came up smooth as silk. The bounty hunter scrambled for cover. Olivia, Amanda run. But Amanda didn't run. She grabbed the shotgun from behind the door. Double-barreled 10-gauge that kicked like an angry mule. Randy had taught her to shoot tin-cans off fence posts. This was different. This was life and death. The shootout lasted maybe 5 minutes. Felt like 5 hours. Lead flew like angry hornets. With splinters, glass shards, the smell of gunpowder thick as fog. When the dust settled, 2 bounty hunters lay bleeding in the dirt. The third sat holding his shoulder, face pale as moonlight. Randy walked over, rifle trained steady. You boys made a mistake. I suggest you ride out before I change my mind about letting you live. The wounded man climbed awkward into his saddle. His partners helped each other up. Blood dripped steady from various wounds. This ain't over, Cooper. Yes, it is. Randy's voice carried the weight of stone. Next time you come on my land, you better bring a preacher, because I won't be shooting to wound. They rode away slow, leaving red drops in the dust. Amanda watched until they disappeared into the heat shimmer. Olivia ran from the root cellar, tears streaming down her cheeks. She threw herself into Randy's arms, then Amanda's. They stood together in the settling dust, hearts still hammering. They'll be back, Randy said quiet. Men like that don't forget. Amanda loaded fresh shells into the shotgun. Then we'll be ready. He looked at her with something like wonder. This city woman who'd gotten off at the wrong station, who'd learned to cook on a wood stove, mend torn clothes, shoot straight when it mattered. I love you, Amanda Whitmore. The words hung in the desert air like a promise. She reached up, touched his dust-streaked face. I love you too, Randy Cooper. And I'm not going anywhere. Olivia tugged on Amanda's skirt. Does this mean you're staying forever? Amanda knelt down, looked into those bright eyes. Forever and a day, sweetheart. The storm clouds built higher, promising rain for the thirsty earth. But for now, the sun shone warm on 3 people who'd found each other in the vast loneliness of the territory. Randy had his family. Amanda had her home. Olivia had her prayers answered. And somewhere in the distance, thunder rolled like a promise of better days coming. The storm that had threatened all day finally broke that evening. Rain drummed steady on the tin roof, washing the blood from the yard and filling the air with the sweet smell of wet sage. Amanda sat on the porch steps, watching water pool in the dust. Her hands still trembled slightly from the afternoon's violence. She'd never shot at another human being before today. Randy emerged from the barn where he'd been tending the horses. His shirt was damp with rain and sweat, sleeves rolled up to his elbows. He'd spent an hour checking for more riders on the horizon. See anything? Amanda asked. Nothing but empty country. He settled beside her on the steps. They won't be back tonight. Maybe not for weeks. Olivia slept peaceful in her bed, exhausted from fear and tears. Amanda had sung 3 lullabies before the child finally drifted off, clutching the half-finished scarf like a lifeline. You did good today, Randy said quiet. That shotgun kick did knock you down. Amanda smiled weary. I had good reason to stay standing. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to rain on the roof and distant thunder. The desert drank deep after months of drought. Come morning, wildflowers would start pushing through the hard pan. "Tell me about Boston," Randy said finally. Amanda leaned back against the porch post. Brick houses lined up like dominoes. Street lamps that burn gas. Ladies in carriages who never touched dirt with their own hands. "You miss it?" "I thought I would." She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "But I never felt useful there. Just ornamental, like a vase on a shelf." Randy understood that feeling. After Lily died, he'd felt more like furniture than a man, going through motions, existing but not living. "What made you answer that advertisement?" he asked. Amanda was quiet for a long moment. Rain pattered steady in the gutters. "My mother had my whole life planned out. Which church to attend, which clubs to join, which man to marry. I felt like I was suffocating on other people's expectations." She pulled her shawl tighter around her shoulders. "One morning I was reading the newspaper at breakfast. Saw advertisements in the back. Women wanted for marriage in California, Colorado, New Mexico territory. I cut one out and kept it in my prayer book for 3 months. What changed your mind? Mother invited the banker to dinner again, Harold Pemberton. He spent 2 hours talking about his stock investments and never once asked what I thought about anything." Amanda laughed soft. "That night I wrote the letter." Randy nodded. He'd written plenty of letters himself, to the War Department, to suppliers, to his sister, but never one that would change his whole life. "What about you?" Amanda asked, "What made you consider a mail-order bride?" Randy was quiet so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then he spoke, voice low as the wind in grass. "Olivia started asking why she didn't have a mama. Other children in town had mothers to braid their hair, teach them songs. I tried, but there's things a man can't do proper." He stared out at the rain-soaked yard. "I figured maybe I could find someone kind, someone who'd care for her. Didn't matter if they never loved me back." Amanda reached over, covered his hand with hers. "And now," he turned to meet her eyes, "now I know the difference between settling and choosing." The next morning dawned clear and bright. The storm had washed the world clean, leaving everything sharp-edged and gleaming. Amanda woke to the smell of coffee and bacon. Randy was already up, cooking breakfast, while Olivia sat at the table combing her doll's hair. The child looked better, color back in her cheeks. "Morning, Mama," Olivia said when Amanda appeared. The word still made Amanda's heart skip, like a stone on water. They ate together as golden light streamed through the windows. Ordinary moments that felt precious after yesterday's violence. Randy's hand brushed Amanda's as he passed the honey. Small touches that spoke of deeper currents. After breakfast, Amanda helped Olivia with her letters while Randy rode out to check the fence lines. The bounty hunters might return, but life had to continue. By afternoon, the heat was building again. Amanda worked in the garden, pulling weeds between rows of beans and corn. Olivia played in the shade, building houses for her dolls from twigs and stones. "Miss Amanda?" The child's voice was thoughtful. "Yes, sweetheart." "Are you going to marry Papa?" Amanda's hands stilled among the bean plants. "Would you like that?" Olivia nodded, serious as a judge. "Then you'd be my mama for real, not just in my heart." That evening, Randy returned with news. He'd ridden to the neighboring ranch, talked to old Pete Morrison, who'd homesteaded there since before the war. Pete says those bounty hunters stopped at his place too, asking questions, showing papers. Randy unsaddled his horse with practiced efficiency. He told them he'd never heard of me. Will he keep quiet? Pete fought Apaches and Confederates both. He's got no love for men who hunt others for money. They worked together in the barn as sunset painted the sky orange and pink. Randy milked the cow while Amanda scattered feed for chickens. Comfortable rhythms of shared labor. "I've been thinking," Randy said as they walked to the house, "about what comes next." Amanda waited, heart quickening. If those men come back, it won't be safe here. Not for you or Olivia. He stopped walking, turned to face her. Maybe we should go somewhere else. Start over. Run away. Make a new life. California, maybe, or Oregon. Somewhere they'd never think to look. Amanda considered this. The idea had appeal. Wide valleys, tall trees, ocean water she'd never seen. But something in her rebelled against being chased in the home they'd built together. What if we stayed and fought? Randy frowned. 3 against however many they bring next time? We're not alone. Pete Morrison would help. Others too, if we asked. Amanda's voice grew stronger. This is our land, our home. Why should we run? They reached the porch steps, stood facing each other in the fading light. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote called to its pack. I won't have you in danger, Randy said. I won't have you running from lies. Amanda stepped closer. We make our stand here. Together. He studied her face in the twilight. This woman who'd stepped off the wrong train and into his life, who'd learned to shoot straight and cook on a wood stove and love a child who wasn't her own blood. Together, he agreed. That night, after Olivia was tucked into bed, Randy and Amanda sat by the fireplace making plans. If the bounty hunters returned, they'd be ready. Randy knew every hiding place, every defensible position on his land. Amanda was learning fast. There's something else, Randy said, stirring the fire with an iron poker. Sparks danced up the chimney like fireflies. Amanda looked up from the sock she was darning, one of Olivia's, torn at the heel. I want to marry you proper, not because of bounty hunters or convenience or anything else. He met her eyes across the firelight. Because I love you, because Olivia loves you, because this house feels like home when you're in it. Amanda set down her darning, hands trembling slightly. Randy Cooper, are you proposing to me? I reckon I am. He reached into his shirt pocket, pulled out something small, a ring carved from wood, smooth and simple, made from a piece of the oak tree where Olivia likes to play. Not much to look at, but it's honest work. Amanda held out her hand, watched him slide the ring onto her finger. It fit perfect, like it had been waiting for her all along. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. He leaned forward, kissed her gentle as summer rain. The fire crackled warm between them, and somewhere in the house, Olivia sighed content in her sleep. 3 weeks later, under the spreading branches of that same oak tree, they spoke their vows. No preacher available for hundreds of miles, but Randy figured God would understand. Pete Morrison stood witness, along with his wife Martha, who'd ridden over for the occasion. Amanda wore a dress Olivia had sewn by hand from repurposed fabric, every stitch crooked but made with love. Randy wore his best shirt, hair slicked back with water from a creek. Olivia scattered wildflower petals while the wind sang through the grass. She'd insisted on this part. Every wedding needs flowers, she declared. I can't promise you riches, Randy said, holding Amanda's hands in his. But I can promise you love. Every day, for as long as I draw breath. I promise you partnership, Amanda replied. In work and worry, in laughter and sorrow. I choose you, Randy Cooper. Today and always. They kissed under the desert sky while Olivia clapped her hands and Martha wiped happy tears. Pete nodded approval and muttered something about damn fine thing under his breath. The celebration was simple. Cake Martha had baked. Coffee strong enough to wake the dead. Olivia's delighted laughter as the adults taught her to dance. No fancy reception or champagne toasts. Just honest joy shared under the stars. Later that evening, after the neighbors had ridden home, the 3 of them sat on the porch steps. Olivia curled sleepy between her parents, watching fireflies blink in the garden. Are we a real family now? The child asked. Amanda smoothed her hair, still marveling at the word parents. We've been a real family for a while now, sweetheart. But now it's official, Randy added, arm around both his girls. Olivia smiled satisfied. God really did answer my prayers. He just took his time about it. Amanda laughed, remembering that first day at the train station. A little girl's arms around her waist, tear-streaked face pressed to her skirts. Mama, God finally answered us. Sometimes the best things in life came by accident. Wrong stations, wrong maps, right hearts finding each other in the vast loneliness of the territory. Above them, stars wheeled ancient patterns across the desert sky. The same stars that had watched over countless other families, other loves, other promises made under oak trees in the middle of nowhere. Randy tightened his arms around his wife and daughter, breathing in the scent of Amanda's hair and Olivia's sleepy warmth. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. There were always new challenges on the frontier. But tonight, in this moment, he had everything he'd ever wanted. A home full of laughter. A child who called him Papa. A woman who'd chosen to stay when she could have left. Love that had arrived unscheduled, dusty, and unexpected. On the wrong platform, but exactly when it was needed most.